So, okay, we're going to talk about blockchain. What's interesting, if you go back a couple of years, I feel like we were all in and nonstop talking about the cryptocurrency world and also, of course, about blockchain. And then it kind of came to a stop, I feel like, to some extent. And yet investors are still finding opportunities. So let's look at the blockchain investment space and the digital currency space. James Wo is founder and CEO of the Chinese venture capital firm Digital Finance Group. And they've actually got a new fund that they started that's specifically about blockchain. He's in our Interactive Broker studio. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah.
Did I? Okay. I just want to make sure. Nice to have you here. Tell us about this fund. You've raised a lot of money.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like a global family business. So we didn't raise any outside capitals, but all internal business. So overall managing like $500 million for both like tokens and equity.
So where do you think you're going to be investing into? What type of companies are you looking at? Like, where are we in terms of blockchain?
Yeah, because we are looking for the, kind of like companies which building infrastructure and also use cases. So it's very, early stage like for the blockchain and crypto industry.
Right.
So we are seeking for both. Kind of a token, we only invest into protocols.
Regulation has been a huge issue here and globally. Where are we in those conversations of actually understanding how the oversight should be, and what role can companies like yours and funds like yours play here?
Yeah, I think overall their policy is have been made like step by step. It's not like a one-time kind of like things for the policy to be made.
Right.
Like the US is kind of like put all the kind of crypto in the traditional asset categories, whether it's a security or kind of commodity. But in Asia, it's totally different. It's kind of just a new kind of asset. You just create a new policy framework to regulate it.
So wait, so what's going on in Asia when it comes to this?
It's also different in different countries in Asia.
Yeah.
Like China.
Where is it the most advanced?
I think I think in country like Singapore, Abu Dhabi, they are kind of very promising toward cryptocurrency itself.
Okay.
They just build as a new asset. You can build different kind of use cases on top of it, like exchange, custody, lending, and all kind of things. But in China, it's interesting. It's negative to the cryptocurrency exchange, but positive to the blockchain technology. So still in Asia, different countries view this as different things.
So if you're an investor, how do you get smarter about this? Because I just feel like, so many investors, they can talk sort of in vague terms. Candidly, I can only talk in vague terms about it. Like, how do you get to the point where you can at least, I don't need to be fluent, but to help people understand how to be conversant in it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think overall, it's kind of like the things is too early stage. It's very hard to define what is the next generation will be. But still, I think it remains there a lot of work to figure that out.
So, what's your advice to investors who are trying to understand still this space, right? Because like I said, for a while, I felt like we were talking about it nonstop. And I do think it's not as front and center, but I do know that there's activity going on. So when you think about our audience and our investors are certainly interested in, kind of how do you make money? What's your thoughts on this based on the experience that you're seeing so far?
I think the one important thing for the kind of like a new kind of investor is like you make sure you pick up the mainstream coins or mainstream companies.
So what's the mainstream coins at this point?
It's like a top 20 coins on the coin market cap or these kind of like with a cap valuation. I think that's like a mainstream coins with really the lot of great developers developing the protocol without some early stage whatever use cases protocols. They are super risky with just an idea with no kind of even code on GitHub. So that's kind of like kind of the way for you to be a little bit like a safer for you to be doing investment in the crypto industry, because you never know what kind of industry we're head to in the next step. It shifts so fast for different kind of categories, right?
Right. Well, and I will say digital currencies, I was just looking at the numbers because I haven't looked in a while. I mean, last year, our digital coin index where we look at it versus the dollar was up 95% last year. So it did have a big bump. It was down a lot in 2018. And of course, 2017 was the year where everybody woke up to it because it was up more than 1,300%.
Right.
And James, how important are exchanges here? I believe you're involved in one that's scheduled to launch in Abu Dhabi, a spot exchange. How important is that just to sort of getting this further and further developed and entrenched?
I think that's also, really a promising jurisdiction and regions, because we go there like for 3 years ago, like educated government there to about cryptocurrency, and they actually move pretty fast. They spend a year to create a framework, and then last July we got in principle about operating it. And right now we open a custody account, in US to connect with the fiat channels to the exchange, which is the first one in Abu Dhabi. And I think there a huge demand for the people there to allocate their monies into cryptocurrency, right? Just a way for them to hedge the risk about they only have the oil. So it's kind of a good kind of market with promising futures, pretty like 3 years ago in Korea.
Right. Interesting. All right. James Wu is founder and chief executive officer of digital finance group DFG here in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio.